Good evening and welcome to my channel. I'm Lillian and this space is Lillian's channel. Every time I think about what I'm going to be doing next, and I find this to be of good value. This I know is what a lot of people do as well because we all make plans. But there are times when we all make plans and we find out that these plans don't go according to what we had in mind. So we have to look at what is currently happening in our closer environment or in our larger environment worldwide. This past few months has been one in which everybody has had something to say about what is going on. It's been affecting everyone. Some have had relatives, some have had friends, some have had a lot of illnesses directly happen to them. What I always believe is the famous line of every cloud has a silver lining. So I'd just like us to take a look back at this past hurtful year in which we've all had to be under lockdown, staying at home, and look for the little things that we can see that has been good about the year. My channel is a gardening channel, so mainly a lot of people that come along here are talking about gardening, but all the same, gardening is actually one thing that's related to everybody because we all eat, and the foods we eat come from gardens. So there isn't anyone, you may not be putting the seed into the soil, you may not be putting the seedlings into the soil, you may not be harvesting it directly by yourself, but you buy the produce in the shops. It means we all have a need, we all depend, and we all appreciate gardeners. It's great for us to be able to know that we don't have to be working, for example, like in the past, like 3, 4 centuries ago, humans had to just keep walking and then they would come across food, they would eat, and they would keep walking again, and they'll probably stay in their caves and come back out. And if they find food again, they'll eat. Nowadays, we can have cultivation, which is called gardening or farming. Thank you very much. Welcome. I can see you there. So, now that we have farming as something that is almost at our fingertips, we don't have to walk long distances, having in memory that, oh, yes, there's some tree about a mile away. We can go back there. We can actually go to shops and get fruits and get other foods that have been made from fruits, or we can get foods that have been made into meals that may not even be fruits, but they all have come from gardens because gardening is not just about plants. You can have animals, you can have chickens, pigs, everything. That's all just producing the food that we eat on this planet. Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen. Welcome. I really appreciate your coming. Hello. So, farming and gardening is something that we all depend on, but in the past year, these activities have been affected as everybody in the world has been affected. I would like to say a few ways in which gardening has been affected worldwide that I have been told. For a short while, a lot of people could not get seeds that they were going to plant in their garden. This happened to me. I could not get seeds for my garden for a long time. So, fortunately, I had to depend on seeds that I had harvested in the past and kept. Because usually, what I would do is I would still buy new seeds from the shops. I would buy some seedlings. I just buy a mix of things. I'll buy seedlings, I'll use seeds, and then I will use my own old seeds. But this year I had to depend mainly on my seeds until a time when I was now able to get some seeds that were purchased for me by a friend that I was able now to use in my garden. So one thing that I know that happened to gardens all over the world was we were not able to access seeds. And this is something we need to consider going forward. We need to consider this because if this has happened, this is just the first year that it has happened, at least in a very long time, that we'll have that sort of lockdown, then we should all be aware that next year there may be more shortage of seeds because there was so much seeds that people had at home, but they probably weren't properly cared for. They probably weren't probably properly labeled because I'll get some seeds from some people. They said to me, I don't really know what's in there anyway, so you just grow it. So I just grow it on. I was able to identify some of them. I identified after planting in the ones I could identify as seedlings. I carried on with it. The ones I couldn't identify, I put them aside and kept watching to see what they were. Later on, they grew into certain plants, but which I didn't really need at the time because although I have a gardening situation where I grow flowers as well, I don't have too much space, so I can't grow everything that I have. I have to just manage my space and try to rotate between my plants. One thing that I know that we need to take note of is we all need to start saving more seeds. And there are several ways we can find out how to save seeds. You can take a look in books, you can take a look online, you can Google it, and you can also find it on several YouTube channels. There is a YouTube channel that the rustic gardener, he would teach you how to save seeds. Kalikim would teach you how to save seeds. Praxis will teach you how to save seeds. Those are the people that I can remember that I have learned from them and they've shown how to save seeds. So if you're a gardener, you can visit these channels and learn how to save seeds because as the years are coming, we will all probably be depending more on seeds that we have at home if we don't have seeds that we're able to get in the shops. Because in the past, although I used to save my seeds after I had learned from the rustic gardener, I learned from Kali Kim, I learned from Praxis, I learned from John Kola. They all have videos on how to save seeds, but I didn't actually depend so much on those seeds. This year has been an eye opener for me that when you save your seeds, save them properly and use them. So this year I depended heavily on my seeds and it was a successful year as well. So one thing that I can simply say is let's try to learn how to save seeds so that we don't face a situation in which there will be a shortage of seeds world over because it's not going to be too easy if such a situation should happen. This is one message that I want to pass across. Now, secondly, when we are making plans and we are looking at the future, we should also try to look back. We've all looked upon this current year, 2020, as being a very tough year, a not good year, but there is always a silver lining on every cloud. And so I would like to count some of the things that I found as silver clouds in this year. I found a lot more of my friends and family have started to do gardens. Even if they are using just two pots, everybody just thought, we can grow these things. Let's just start growing, even if it's not something we're going to eat. It may be a foliage plant, it may be a tree. Just grow something, because this situation also is not about us having food to eat, it's about us having something to do. When you have a garden, thank God this garden saved my life this past year, because being in lockdown, oh my God, and you can't actually go far away, you can't really travel much because everybody was not aware of what was going on in the next town. You only have something that is within your own vicinity to look upon. That if you have a garden, then you at least be able to go out of your house and do some work in your garden. Then you wouldn't have to just be in front of your laptop, maybe working from home and not having something else to think about except work, 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 because all social activities was practically cancelled. There wasn't any socializing right from the beginning of the year up till about a month ago, and then it started again. What I would like to mention about this is the fact that to do gardening, we have to decide what we want to grow. If we want to grow something that's going to be for food, or you want to grow something that's going to be for an indoor decorative plant. I have several forms of gardens that I manage. I have outdoor garden in which I grow vegetables and flowers. I have indoor garden in which I grow foliage plants and succulent plants. These are just things that I do, and I know they they produce a kind of goodness because they all have their advantages. These plants, when they respire, they produce oxygen. So it means the air in the house is gaining oxygen while we, as humans, we are producing carbon dioxide. So if you can have something that is actually helping you to increase the oxygen level within the home, that is a very good thing. That is why indoor plants are good. So when we look back at this year and we consider that, oh, it's not been a good year, it's just been a very difficult year, a lot of people have actually gone back gardening. A lot of people had gone away from gardening before, but in this past year, a lot more people have gone back into gardening. A lot more people have started to learn how to grow these simple things. They might even just say, oh, how would I grow these pothos, or how would I grow these spider plants, which I consider to be very simple indoor plants to manage. So even learning how to grow the simplest indoor plants It's actually something that will occupy your mind, something that will keep the mind busy, something that would keep you physically active, because you have to plan how you get your soil, what type of soil you're going to get, and where you're going to actually locate the plant. You would need to locate, for example, a pothos somewhere where it will get sun, but it doesn't need as much sunlight as when you want to locate your spider plant. So all these differences and learning them, they are the things that we make use of, and also we see as the garden teaches us. Because if you actually place a spider plant and it's too sunny, you see the leaves, you see the leaves growing very well, very radiant and everything. But if you place it and it's too shaded, you will actually see that the leaves are not looking so buoyant anymore. So that is one way in which the garden teaches us what to do. And we find a lot of advantages in gardening, in that when you, as a gardener, meet somebody else that is a gardener, you begin to learn more about your own plants that you have already. You learn more and you be able to explain. So you have an exchange of ideas between yourselves. When I'm having my other um, videos out, I would show my plants and talk about the advantages. That is, what are the advantages of having any of these plants? What are the advantages of having hello, thank you for coming along the river homestead. Much appreciated. Welcome. Thank you. Yeah. So you will just see each of these plants have their advantages. Some of them, as indoor plants, they may just be producing us oxygen, but if they are flowering plants and they are outdoors, they help attract bees, they help attract butterflies, and so many other pollinators. It just depends on what kind of plants. Thank you very much. Welcome, Chrissy. You're welcome. Thanks. So, okay, along the river homestead, that's your channel name. Okay, so what do you do in your homestead? You have a garden just like the other homesteaders do? Okay, I'll just wait until you're ready. And then you find out that if you have flowering plants, they'll attract insects, they'll attract pollinators to your garden, so that when you have things like tomatoes, peppers, they need to be pollinated, because you can go out there and pollinate your peppers by yourself. You can pollinate your tomatoes, your cherry trees, your um, apple trees. You can't pollinate everything by yourself, really. You can't do that. You would have to depend a bit on these pollinators, no matter what. Because a lot of people say, oh, we will just use a hand brush and pollinate this. You still need the bees, because if you're growing trees or shrubs that are a bit taller than you may not be able to reach to the top to pollinate them. You would have to depend on the wind and the bees. This is one reason why we should grow flowers that would attract bees. I grow zinnias, dahlias, even um, spider plants. I grow all these because they are supposed to attract bees. And when the bee and sunflowers as well, the sunflowers attract a lot of bees. I grow three different, four different types of sunflowers. I grow the big yellow sunflower. I grow the okay, thank you, Chris. Okay, so I grow the um, perennial sunflower that comes back again the following year so that I just have to plant it once. And I grow roses. Thank you very much. I grow roses as well. Because what happens is that these plants are actually great helpers in attracting bees. If you have just grown your tomatoes, cherry trees, and your berries, strawberries, yes, they will attract flowers. But let me assure you that if you have a pollinator bed as well, that would attract a lot more pollinators to your garden. And that is what you want if you're growing something, because you want to see that the flowers have been pollinated so that they can become fruits later on. So sometimes you go into somebody's garden, the person is producing vegetables, and somebody will say, "Oh, why are you wasting all this space and growing all these flowers? Are you going to eat them? No, just grow the ones that you're going to eat, and let's just have food." I will be like, we don't only grow what we are going to eat in a garden, we have to grow what's going to attract so many other pollinators so that you have your food easily pollinated. Because if you don't have anything to pollinate them, this actually may reduce the. Can you please like press the like button? Thank you. And this may actually um reduce the amount of pollination that you get if you just plant food and you don't have any flowers to attract bees. On the back of my garden, I have a buzz plant. That's a bud layer. It attracts so much bees and butterflies. They're just hovering all over the place. So that when I have my own flowering plants, the sunflowers, the roses, verbena, dahlia, zinnias, those roses come from the buddleia that is on the other side of the road, and they come to visit my plants as well. And on their way, they see my other plants that are flowering, like the peppers and the tomatoes, the cherries, the strawberries. They will visit them as well. And this becomes an advantage because then I have bees doing the work for me, which is supposed to be how it goes. Another advantage that we can get is when we have a garden and we see it as a place that you can learn the different names of plants. It's not just about eating the plants that you have your garden. Over the past year, I've seen a lot of people who have said to me, "Oh, I've learned the name of this plant, I've learned." So that is something. because there's no knowledge that is lost. Even having the patience and the time over the past year to learn the names of these plants is one thing that I would say has been an advantage for us in this year. It's one thing that we can say, I've learned this thing, whereas a lot of people would not have had the time to even have the patience to say, okay, let me learn this thing, because everyone is just so busy running around, the rat race, to walk to home to bed, or to telly, to walk to home to telly to bed. But now, since you're walking from home, you're sitting down, then you'd want to go outside and you see your garden, so you do something there. You can plant some things. You can actually revive some plants. Because I have a friend who was saying to me, "Oh, my garden is over." And now she said to me, "Oh, I actually revived two of the plants." Yes, you do it one at a time. So she's revived two plants in her back garden by clearing around them and making sure they're not overcrowded with bushes anymore. And she's really enjoying seeing the beautiful flowers come along more than they used to in the past. And she says now it's even easier for them to eat the berries that are growing on it, because it's no longer like a bush that they cannot access, because now they're able to get close to where the plant is. And they now, you know, the younger children, they're now able to reach and harvest the the berries from the plants, and it made things easier. It is thank you very much, Terry. Welcome. I appreciate you. Yeah. So I'm just talking this evening about the things that I consider that we have seen that has been good in this year. Because this year has been one that we would all consider to be a bit tough, a bit difficult, because of all this disease that's been going around. But all the same, we are able to say there are good things that have come along as well. And in fact, a lot of us as YouTubers can testify that, well, had a lot more people watching my channel this year than before. And that is true. Welcome very much, Terry. Yeah, I've been watching your channel a lot because I've had a lot of time this year, and always enjoyed all the different things that we've learned from your channel. Much appreciated. Thank you. So we find out that all these things are just there as a sort of a negative, but we have a lot of positives that comes along with it as well. So when we look back, we should look back with gratitude, because we are still here and we are still able to say thank you. And we are still able to say, oh, in this past year, thank you very much for coming, Tony. I can see you there. Thank you. So we can say, okay, we in the past year, I've had a lot of people um, coming along and watching our channels more frequently and everything. So it has been really great. Yeah, with all the yes, thank you. We all need to be positive. That's exactly it. And try and deal with all the things that are going on. Yeah. Yes. Okay, you have achieved some great Brussels sprouts. That is good. That is good. Carrots are what I am aiming to achieve this year, because I've always had a bit of difficulty because you can only grow carrots in soil that is not very fertile. So I've had to prepare myself with getting with getting carrots really aimed soil. That is soil that won't have too much humus like I put in the rest of my garden bed. And I'm really, really happy that I'm able to achieve this in this year, because now I've only have the very fertile soil at the bottom and not too fertile soil in the areas where I'm going to actually put the carrots. And then they can grow straight down and reach for the fertile soil down below. Um, Guru, please, would you like to tell us what you see as an achievement in this past year? Okay, the parsnips, yeah, parsnips. Yeah, parsnips are great. I appreciate growing parsnips. One problem that I also have with parsnips is my parsnips are always very few. Like I will just find out that, oh, I only have four at the end of the day. I always enjoy the four anyway. Not that I mind it, because it could just be zero. But being able to grow, like a fair few, even if it's up to about 15 or 20, that is a good target. And yes, it's good to be able to perfect the parsnips, because they also, just like carrots, can be they can just refuse to grow straight like what we buy in the supermarket. And we all have an idea of what we want our carrots to look like. We want it to look better than the one in the supermarket. So if you grow carrots or you grow parsnips, you want it to be straight like what we are buying in the supermarket. You don't want to grow a parsnip and it will be having so many bumps, and it looks almost like it doesn't look straight. It looks almost round. So when you are growing parsnips and they're going down straight into the soil, that is what we all aim aim for. I also have a bit of a struggle with the parsnips. Yeah, yeah. I remember your trampoline polytunnel. Yeah. Okay. 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 Your your trampoline framed polytunnel, and then that is a very great achievement. Yes, I watched you make that trampoline frame polytunnel, and it was really interesting. It was very interesting to see, and it's actually very good to grow inside it. My own, I wouldn't call it an achievement, is that this year I was able to grow a lot peppers and prepare them for overwintering, so that early next year I would I would be able to have my peppers starting earlier. Yeah, yeah, that it saves a lot of cost. So it should have been a lot higher if you didn't have the frames that you used. So that's a very good advantage over there. That's a very good advantage. Thanks for sharing that with us, Tony. Thanks very much. This year, I attempted for the second time to grow okra, and I actually attempted it 4 times. In fact, the fourth time, I was just almost crying, because what happens is my okra would germinate and I would put them outside, but they wouldn't survive. Okay, 2 10-foot trampolines, yes, from free cycle, yes, and then you use the material of it together. Yeah, it's always good to be creative, to be able to use an item like the trampoline and make it into something else. That is what we need, so that that doesn't go into a waste um, system. it's being reused again, it's being recycled again, and it's saves the planet that way. So it becomes a very big advantage for us, because I also would see a lot of these bins and buckets that people will be like, I don't want this anymore. I'll say, okay, can you just try and grow in it? And I'll say, how can I grow in? I'll say, yeah, what you do is you buy soil and you put it in. And the next time, especially in this year, and the next time I'll say, oh, did you buy soil? You say, yes, because I didn't even have to buy a lot of soil. I put in all the eggshells and things that you said, because I always advise, I say, put eggshells, put plantain peels, put chicken bones, just put them all together and it will fill the container quickly. Then you can just use any small container you have. Make sure you put holes in it. Thank you very much, Mr. King. It's bedtime. Okay. Have a nice night and greetings to Mrs. King. Thank you for coming. Okay. So when we have such innovative ways like that, it's always greatly appreciated. As well, if we can, yeah, okay, I'm going to actually obtain the name of your okra, the red okra, so that I will, okay, I know Rob from a science garden. Yeah, okay, so what happened after the spider mites? Okay. So, I thought your okra actually grew very well. I know the Hart family in the US. They are great gardening family friends of ours here as well, and he has so many um, good lines of plants that I enjoy watching in his garden as well. Yes. Mm. So, what happened to your um, okra with the spider mite? Okay, okay. Yeah, it's very possible for peanuts to be devastated because they are very, very sensitive to fungus, and their root plants, they are very, very sensitive to fungus, and fungus will always be in the soil because we actually need this fungus for the other plants. So I would think, when I've seen people growing peanuts in the past, they were just like growing it in the absence of any other plants. For example, you don't have any other plants around, so that the soil that you're going to use for your peanuts is going to be entirely no other plants coming around it. It's exactly what I was saying about when I was trying to grow my carrots along with my other plants, and the soil was too fertile. Then the carrots started to attract um, some pests, which wouldn't have been the case if I didn't have carrots in the garden. Okay. So the peanuts were devastated. Yes, so the okra, okay. The okra were all right. Yeah, it's great to be able to have okra, because I've seen it in the shops, but I wasn't sure which type to buy. I just got anyone and it wasn't really growing well. I grew it 4 times. Yeah, I remember his wife. Yeah, I remember Rob's wife. Yeah, I can't remember her name now, but I remember his lovely wife. Yeah, 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 made the same. Yes. Oh, yes. The carrots. I was I had been told about the carrots, but then I thought, let me try and see, but putting it in just one corner. But that still really happened to me. That still happened. Yeah, Mrs. G. Yeah, Mrs. That's Rob's wife. Thank you very much, Tony. Thank you for your company. Okay, so the okra is one thing that I am looking forward to growing next year, that I'm going to actually try and obtain some seedlings and seeds, because that's what I do when I'm having difficulty with growing a plant. I will have some that are seedlings so that I will be looking at those ones and I will be happy, and then I will now be struggling with the seeds. So if the seeds become successful, then I will know what type that I need to concentrate on growing, and that will be the, or maybe the science will send some to me. I would leave a link. I would link their channel here, so maybe they will send some red okra to me. Yeah, but it's really always great if you can get a kind of okra that is suitable to where we are. Yeah. Oh, I cook with okra all the time. In fact, I eat okra almost every day. I have so many recipes with okra, okra and chili, okra and chili, okra and beans, okra and vegetables. There's so many different recipes with okra that we have that I do. So because of this, I eat okra every day. Okra is very advantageous, and that's one reason why I wanted to cook it, why I wanted to plant it, because I cook it all the time, and I like to grow something that I'm cooking all the time. Oh, it's supposed to be slimy. Haven't you cooked it? It's not a bit slimy. It is very slimy. It is very slimy, but that is dependent on how you make it. You can make it in a way and it won't be as slimy. But if you want it to be very slimy, then you can make it to be very slimy. So you cannot entirely get rid of it being slimy, no matter how you cook it. If you do it like the okra with some beans, it will reduce the slimy. But if you do okra with pepper, it will be very slimy. It will bring it out a lot. So I actually do all the different versions because I don't mind the being slimy or not. I just like the diet and I like the advantages that will. Yes, I've been advised to do that as well. Yes, yes. I will do some cooking of the okra in future. Yes, thank you very much. So, the okra can be prepared by either chopping it into small bits or just cutting it into circles that aren't too small. And it depends on what you want to cook it with. And if you want to do it with beans, you'd have to really chop it as if you're blending it to make it with the beans. So because that kind of recipe is going to involve either you're putting it in the oven or you're putting it in the um, roaster, something to roast to grill it. So that's why you need to really blend the the okra for you cooking it with beans. You have to really blend it. That's how it would work. Yes. Mm. So so we have so many other things that we can look back upon and see as advantageous. For example, in this year, we can say we had a heat wave, but probably that heat wave was actually a godsend to try and see if that could solve a bit of the situation that was on ground with the disease. So when the heat wave actually affected my garden, I wasn't too bothered. I was just satisfied that I already had some harvest anyway. So I would just bear this heat wave and wet my garden more frequently, and let us see if this actually helps us clear out the infections that is going around the world. I don't know if it helped with the situation or not, but we 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 always have cause to note that different things have to be tried in different situations so that we wouldn't be for lack of trying. That's what I'm trying to say. Soon before lack of trying that we didn't find out what could have been the end of the situation that we had on our hands. So as I always think when I consider my garden, I'm always looking at what new thing I'm growing that I have increased. In the past, I used to have two, I used to have two, there were two dahlia plants, but they were both the same color. And then this year, a friend gave me one white pom pom dahlia, and now I have two dahlias. And then my friend bought me a pack of dahlias from seeds. And I was thinking it's going to be a long time before this will start flowering, maybe next year. But then when I read the packaging, it said I should grow it in that April and it will start flowering by October, by September, October. So it did start flowering, and I had a very beautiful array of dahlias, different colors. They all range around the yellows, very bright yellow, light yellow, mellow yellow. They were all in the different ranges of yellow. I had two in the ranges of pink, but that was not a lot. And it wasn't the very, very bright pink ones. So I'm looking forward to next year having more of these dahlias so that I would be able to have more colors because I still have more seeds. I didn't use up all the seeds that I got because there was a lot of seeds in the packet. So it's not possible for me to use up all the seeds. So, what I see as well as something for us to look back on as being good in the year is a lot of people got to rest because in the past would all not have time to rest, not have time to sit down and even think clearly, not have time to be together as a family. So I think this, with a lot of people working from home, the children were able to see the parents, they were able to go out, go for a walk together, which some people will say forever we haven't even been on walks together before, but now we are going on walks. Thank you very much. Yes, we all have to keep fighting and growing, and God will help us if we help ourselves. Oh, yes, God will help us if we help ourselves because that's exactly what we need. We need to keep forging ahead, we need to keep being positive, we need to keep helping each other. Don't just sit down there and think, oh, this person is not going to help me, this person is not going to help me. Just consider helping everybody around you that you can help. Don't think this person is not going to help me back, I'm not going to help this person. Or some people, when you help someone, you go back and you are like, I'm not helping this person anymore. That is not how life goes. Help someone, help them, don't bother because you will receive it elsewhere. It's like paying it forward. If you help someone, somebody else will help you. That's just the order of the day with this life. Somebody else will come along and help you. And this actually brings me to looking at my life on YouTube. I've met so many people, I've met so many friends that even in the past, the people that were my friends before that would say, oh, you're my friend, they would not even come and watch my videos. But the people that will be watching my videos, these are people that I'll say, oh my God, thank you for these people, and I'll pray for them. Because even the people that will say, okay, let's do this thing together, you do this and I will do that, they would not come along and watch. They would not come along and support. And I would just think, oh, I would just carry on. But I would always receive it from somewhere else. And that is why I know that we should all just carry on and be positive, be helpful, and work hard, because it's only through hard work that we can make anything. We have to pay it forward, because somebody else is going to be there to have our back. We don't have to say, oh, I'm going to go back as the person I helped me. No, no. It is a great community. Yes, it is a great community. I really love our community of growers, because everyone is there to help you, whether they are huge or they are small. They will even say, "Oh, when did you say you were going to do this? You need to do this," and they keep encouraging me. Hello, Toviko. You are welcome. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Yeah. So when you see um what do you okay, oh, thank you very much, Toviko. Yeah, I know you also on Instagram. Thanks very much. Okay. Well, that's Mr. Tony is saying hello to you, Toviko. Yeah. So you find out that it doesn't have to be the person that you think, oh, I've helped this person, somebody else will have your back. That is always the case. And you just have to keep working. We all have to keep grinding. We have to keep putting out material that is good. I don't believe in putting out material that is not correct. Don't put out material that is, you try and be sure of the material you are going to put out. I think that's the best way to do it, so that somebody can learn from you. Because if somebody comes along and learns something from you, and then it's not correct, then you are ruining that person's um garden and what they are doing. They will now get it wrong, and the garden for them will not be a good experience at all. It will just be very frustrating. And we want to get a lot of people. Yes, honesty is the best policy. We want to get a lot of people to enjoy gardening, even if they're only going to grow one thing. Somebody was saying she would have some rocks at the bottom of a bed and things like that. And I had to say to her that the earthworm will be all over the garden, because after they've gone out from under the rock, they will be in all the other parts of your garden that have rocks in it. Because what I do in my own garden is, after it has rained, maybe the day after it has rained or 2 days after it has rained, I like to make it 2 days after it has rained, because the very first day after it has rained, there may be eggs which you would not see. There may be cocoons which you would not see. But about 2 days after it has rained, I will lift up all the pots and the rocks and anything that is on the ground in my garden. I lift them up, and surely I find a lot of earthworms there. Which means if it doesn't rain again for the next 1 week, they may not be too comfortable. So I will now sweep up all this and put it back in the bed, so that they don't dry out. Because very soon it may be dry again, and those earthworms that have just hatched, or those ones that are just staying there because they fell out of the garden bed while it was raining and they were being dragged away, but they are hiding under some pots or under some leaves. I lift this up and put it back into the garden bed or into the pot. This is one way. If you are doing a container gardening, you wouldn't be able to see this if your entire garden is like on the ground, so you don't have to. But if your gardens are in pots and containers, you would need to sweep your earthworms and put them back in. You want the whole world to be growing food. We want the whole world to be growing flowers. In fact, we want a situation where We will all be growing things, and I will give you some. I'm very good at growing tomatoes. I will grow tomatoes and give you, and you grow apples and give me. That happens already. I've got some friends that give me apples because they go and then they bring me apples, and they also give me cabbage and onions. They bring it in large bowls because I also give them tomatoes. So in that case, I didn't have to buy the onion. They didn't have to buy the tomatoes because I've given them some tomatoes. Not that's not all the tomatoes they need, but some, which is enough for them to make some meal. They also give me some onions, which is enough for me too to make some meals. That's it. We are helping to do God's work. We are like, as Tony is saying, says we want the whole world to grow food. If the whole world is growing food, if I'm growing one thing, you can grow the other. So we don't have to grow every single food. But if you grow some, you have extra, you can give to somebody else because we're trying to create our Eden on earth here. We're trying to create our Eden here. And we are not going to be waiting until another time. We are trying to create our comfortable environment. We are trying to create our 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 dreams. Yes, Toviko. Yes, you want to grow those big fat tomatoes of mine. Thank you. Using the fish and chicken bone. Yes. Please keep in mind to to have your fish ready. You can already have your tomatoes, and then on the day you get your fish ready, then you put them in the soil and put the tomatoes and keep it safe so it doesn't get uprooted. It will be nice, and we can share it when we meet with our queens. Yes, it will be really really nice. Oh my, Jerusalem artichokes. A friend gave me some Jerusalem artichokes. He gave me about five. He said to try it so that I will know if I like it, and then I will go and be buying it. Did you know that when the Jerusalem artichoke started growing, I couldn't actually recognize it? It just kept growing and growing. You know, it grows tall. It seems to look a bit similar to the um. Does it look similar to the perennial sunflower? Because it was just growing and growing, and I was thinking, is this a perennial sunflower? And then later, I saw. Well, I've got the artichokes themselves. So I've put soil on it and I know it's going to grow back again next year. Okay, okay. That would be nice. Yes, that would be a nice swap. I'll keep it in mind, Tony. Yeah, I'll keep it in mind. I would get my moneymaker tomatoes ready for you. They are really, really nice. I like them. Mm. My potatoes, I've just got some this afternoon because I've been waiting for my potatoes to, yes, to, okay. They grow very tall because I was wondering why this plant was growing and growing and it doesn't have any flower. It doesn't have, so I was not remembering Jerusalem artichokes anymore until at the end of the season's been over, the plant has been gone. I now been uprooting it, and I saw something at the bottom. I was okay. This must be the artichokes that my friend gave to me. It's just, I think it was two I planted in that particular pot, and there's now about three or four of them that I found today. So I put some soil in it and kept it. I haven't even labeled it. I hope I will remember to label it tomorrow. Although if it starts growing next year, I want to be able to separate it so that it will grow in, because I think it was too many in that pot. There was like three of them growing in the pot. That's one thing I would have considered a disadvantage because it wasn't a very big pot. They were all just growing in there. Yes. Oh, it must be a very good source. I've never actually tasted it, but in my community garden, we always harvest it. That was why my friend gave those ones to me. Because when he says, "Oh, would you like to grow this?" I said, "I don't know what it tastes like." So he said, "Take this home. You can eat some and you can tell us." I didn't remember to eat it. So I just put it in the soil and decided to grow it anyway. Because that's going to be my aim. That if I like it, I'll grow it. That was, yeah, that was what happened. Mm, okay. The artichokes are really okay. The crop, I like a plant that crops very well. Mm, okay, that's why it seemed as if it was overcrowded in the pot I put it in, and my soil has a lot of nitrogen. It does have a lot of nitrogen. Mm, yes, I've had yams. I've had yams. I even have a yam right there, but I'm not sure. 1 minute. Do you mean it's going to be as big as this? Well, can you see the size of this yam? This yam is about so. Oh no! If you try to grow yam here, the plant will grow. I've done that in the past, but you will only have it as a foliage plant. It's a yam, and it's actually just it's a conservative size, not a very large size. It's about 1.5 feet. That's just as long as it is. Yeah, it's quite hard. So what percentage? I just cut it up with a knife, and put it in salty water. The water must not be very salty, and I ate it with fried eggs or with onions and pepper, onions and okra, as I said earlier. So that's what I would use the onions and okra to eat, or onions and pepper and tomatoes. So those are all the different options of what I can eat with it. And I can also use it to make a soup like potato, but it will be a very thick soup. We call it a yam pottage. It will be very thick, like apple. You know when you cook the apple that is used for cooking? Yeah, that's how I'll make it. So I'll have to put pepper and onions and eat it. It's really really nice. It's a little like potatoes, but it's sometimes firmer than potatoes. It's sometimes firmer than, yeah, the Bramley apple. The Bramley apple, exactly. That's the apple I said my friend gave me. My friend gave me Bramley apples that she got, and I give her tomatoes. So if we get everybody growing, it becomes really good because you don't have to buy everything. And when she gave me the Bramley apple, it actually was nicer than the ones we buy in the shop. They were large. They were really, really nice apples that she gave me. Really tasty. I didn't even have to put sugar, as it was really tasty. I didn't have to put sugar. So it's great. I'm going to try sweet potato. and real potatoes. This year, I don't understand um, the length of time for my potatoes, but I grew it around end of July. So I wanted it to be maybe around Christmas that I would have it. So when I grew it at the end of July, I'm just going to be harvesting it tomorrow. I went into the garden today and saw some of them are sticking out of the soil. I'll show you. See, this were the tiny tomatoes I saw sticking out of the soil. They were sticking out of the stem. They were sticking out of the stem. So they were quite small. So I just thought to myself, I need to harvest this thing now because they look as if they are ready. So I think my plan is to now use this as seed for next year. Somebody said to me to put this in somewhere to just be in the air, just somewhere to air it. Thank you. To air it, and by next growing season, maybe earlier than that July that I did, maybe April, I should then grow them. That's the advice I got. They are quite small. This is my thumb, it's just about the size of my thumb. Okay, okay. So this are this still all right for me to grow next year? This these are not sweet potatoes. These are Irish potatoes. But I'm going to grow both of them next year. I'll grow sweet potatoes and I'll grow Irish potatoes. Mm, okay. So I will grow it from about March, April. As soon as the ground is warm, that's what I'm going to do. Mm. Because it keeps getting I keep getting different. I was going to grow it in something that had a lot of holes, and then I was told, oh, that wouldn't keep it warm enough. So I had to wait until I got a container. I actually had to use a baby bath. I had to use a container that didn't have any holes at all to grow them. That's why I had to wait a while before I started growing my potatoes this year. But next year, I will start earlier so that I can be able to get a good harvest out of them. But I consider this a good harvest because this one just sticking out under just one. And I planted about 10. I planted about 10. So these are just sticking out from under one. I'm going to actually uproot it tomorrow and see how much I get to harvest out of the potato garden because it's been there. I've been counting the days and it's close to 120 now because I actually read up and saw that it requires at least 120 days. That's a very long time. That's a very long time. So it's going to be maybe about 110 by the time I harvest it tomorrow. That's what I've noticed. So I actually understand now when it's written on a potato early. That's a potato that you need to grow very early, but you're going to harvest it very early. And there's a potato, it's got written on it late. That's the one you can grow for around Christmas. And then this one that I planted is called a main crop. So I was told that I should have planted it earlier in the year and wait till about now to harvest it. So next year, I would make sure that I plant it earlier. And oh, thank you very much for coming, Anastasia. I think, would you like to learn about onions? That was what we discussed last on the forum. A planting of onions, because I've got that to discuss as well. Because the onions are just what you can have in the soil. Okay. Okay. Oyster price are best. Okay. Start the plant off in used. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got a lot of used yogurt spots. Mm-hmm. Okay, I will do just that. Okay. You mean the sweet potatoes? Oh, thank you very much, Anastasia. Thank you. I'm still going to talk about growing onions as well. I'm still going to talk about growing onions. Thank you. So, when you have Thank you. I would appreciate that very much. I would appreciate that very much. Please do the video. Thank you. Okay. So I was going to talk about the onions. Now, when I want to start the onion, I look in my pack of onions. Usually, you can find an onion that's already growing, or that looks as if it's already breaking dormancy. That's what we'll call it. You see, it's got these green portions coming out of it. So you can take that whole onion and plant it in a pot, and it will be something like this. This is an onion planted in a pot. This onion, by May, June of next year, will start flowering. When it's flowering, after a while, there will be seeds in there because the flowers will flow away and there will be seeds. You can just cut off that round bulb. I mean, that round bubble. It's not a bulb anymore. That round bubble, it will be white. You will see it growing out, and the whole body of the onion, all of them would have dried and gone away. All these leaves would have dried and gone away. You see that flower at the top? You can now spread it and sprinkle it into the soil. It will grow into onions because those are onion seeds. Because it's not always easy to get onion seeds, but it's very easy to produce onion seeds. You just put it in the soil, let it grow, let it flower. After the flower has dried, sprinkle it onto the soil and it will grow. Because that's one way of getting onion seeds. We don't always get onion seeds, and it's very easy to get onion seeds this way. So, one other thing I do with my onions is when I have it like this, if I have a lot of them, I just cut this green onion greens and I use it for my fried rice because I have a lot of onions. So I actually wait for them to start growing and I put about four of them in the soil and I just keep cutting the onion greens. That means I'm not trying to produce seeds. with them, because if you keep cutting it, it's not going to get to mature to flowering. If you want to get it to mature to flowering, you will not be cutting those ones. So it means you will have some that you're growing because you want to make seeds, you want to save seeds, and then you can have one that you're growing because you want to cut the onion grains and use it in your cooking. We all know that onion grains is good for cooking, and you can just use two onions and you have onion grains throughout the year. Now it's winter, that's why we have not a lot growing out of here. 1 minute. Sorry. Okay. So